I've got quite the challenge today. Take one of the most garrisoned settlements in the game, Carrick 8 Peaks, while only recruiting the weakest units in the game, that being Skaven slaves. And no, lords don't count as Skaven slaves either, so no recruiting them. But still, doesn't seem too hard in my opinion. But before we dive into the challenge run, we have a returning sponsor, Yahaha. It's a new user-generated content platform for 3D multiplayer games. You don't need to know any coding, and the smart assets and components are more than enough to make anything you'd want. Enjoy your creations with built-in multiplayer and participate in various 3D events too. A great way to make new friends. If you're interested, click the link below and get early access now for free. So first, I win the tutorial battle and then take my first settlement. Simple enough because at this point they don't expect you to have new units. But the problem is that coming up next, I need to take a major settlement, and the best unit I can recruit right now are Slinger slaves. And it turns out that's actually exactly what I need. The garrison basically has no range units, so I sit outside and shoot them to death. But alright, next turn, and oh, lost one of my settlements? I'm sure it's fine. I'm rushing my way to the objective, and because I only have one army, I don't really need the income from my settlements. I'd only run into problems if I lose all of my settlements, and then I'd start taking some pretty bad attrition. But since I'm taking settlements on my way north, I don't think it really matters. Anyways, Carrick 8 Peaks, our objective, is finally in sight, and it's time to make some special buildings. 2 to make my Undercity harder to spot, and 1 that gives me an explosion ability on my own units. It's pretty powerful, but it only has one use. But regardless, there aren't any other buildings to really help me out, so let's go with that. Moving on to the next battle on my way to 8 Peaks. It's gonna be another siege battle, but the garrison is quite a bit larger this time. My slingers don't have line of sight, and I almost lose Queek. In the end, it's all good though. I got a plan B, and that's to climb the walls. It gets a little bit sketchy, but thankfully I started with Storm Vermin, and they're pretty good, at least by Skaven standards. And I hope that I finally found a good angle for my slingers after a bit of shuffling around. And now at this point, things go from a little bit hard to very hard. The greenskins are sending 20 stacks my way, and even though they're filled with pretty normal looking troops, they still vastly outclass most of the units in my army. It's all good though, because I do have some sneaky shenanigans in the back pocket. Skaven have a pretty decent chance of ambushing when they attack, and you know, while it didn't work in this situation, at least we have normal ambush chance on top of that. So I stick with the 50-50, and the AI loves attacking undefended settlements, so naturally I get a sick auto-resolve, and with very few losses at that. And that's probably the strongest army we've taken out so far. And don't mind me losing settlements either. We're rushing to 8 peaks, so I don't really need them. Just one more settlement battle, and man am I reminded how good slingers are when they outnumber the enemy. You block the enemy with a bit of infantry, and suddenly there's 1,000 slings a second coming your way. Easy battle, but at this point, I really hit a rock wall. I need to kill this army that's recruiting outside of the garrison, and I also need to kill the enemy 20 stack that's sitting inside with another 20 units in the garrison. And in this case, if I attacked, my slingers would run out of ammunition before they can kill the garrison. So there's a few turns of me trying to get an ambush on the outside army to very little success. And that's because the outside armies love to stay in camp stance. This dramatically reduces the chance of them getting ambushed by my special Skaven stance, which ends up wasting quite a few turns. And after that, I get attacked by a greenskin 20 stack. Now thankfully I have the garrison helping me out, but actually I don't really need them. I use Queek and my hero to blob up a few of their frontline units, and then I use some fancy chevron formations to expose the flanks of the greenskins. All I gotta do is kite them out on the left flank. That means retreating with the units that are being chased and firing with everything else on hand. And on the right flank, with all of the AI deliciously blobbed up, it's just a couple shots of the Plague Claw catapult and we're good to go. Makes Skaven slaves seem almost strong, honestly. And after that, I get a sick ambush on one of the greenskin armies. And because of the crazy amount of ranged I have, the ambush goes pretty great. Just loads of damage at the start, and I even get a fancy summon at the end to corral their troops in one area. Basically an army wipe. But now you might be wondering why there's so much time left in this video, and that's because things start going a little bit wrong. Plan A was to siege a settlement, get attacked, and then, before they could replenish, re-siege the settlement. And in the first battle, I do quite a bit of damage. The explosion ability from the Undercity tech does wonders, but the greenskins end up being a little bit faster than I expected. Their Ragnarok spider comes barging into my front lines, and of course my slingers do basically no damage. And while I did kill off a good amount of greenskin units, here's the problem. When I retreat from the settlement, my lord goes so far away, I can't re-siege it. And even worse, the greenskins that have been sniping my settlements from earlier have sort of whittled me down to one last settlement. So if I take too long taking 8 peaks, we're just gonna get wiped off the map. So time is of the essence. Plan B, we're gonna underway stance close to Karak 8 peaks and hope that the AI intercepts me, but no, they do not. It would have been great too, since underway interceptions means that the army attacks you without the support of other armies, and maybe I could have killed the main force while leaving the garrison for later. But with the underway failed and the greenskin army rapidly approaching my last settlement, I decided to go for plan C, and that involves just a little bit of cheese. There's no chance killing their army outside of the garrison without an ambush, and I basically have no turns left before I start getting attrition from having no settlement. So this means I'm basically doing a Hail Mary, and we're just gonna siege the settlement. However, we are not without hope. The plan is simple. We deploy on one side of the battlefield away from the reinforcements, distract the majority of the army, and all I need to do now is just get the guys on the middle capture points to fight me. So I bring in a few troops to pull aggro, and I even have a stealth unit of slingers in the back just in case. And so far, the strategy's looking pretty good. Queek manages to get into the settlement. I got 3 units of infantry moving in too, and there's only a few more guys left on the middle point. But there's a little bit of a problem, and that's the Orc Boar boys. They're much faster than Queek, and they completely pin him down. So alright, he's definitely dead, so let's get the fastest unit I got and send him onto the final capture point. And thanks to the fact that we won a ton of battles earlier, this Skaven chieftain finds himself on a pretty fast Bonebreaker map. So I pull off some sick maneuvers, weave around the enemy forces, and put them on the main capture point. If I can hold this for just long enough without getting contested, we will instantly capture the entire city. So we summon 1 unit of clan rats to stall the AI, and just as they're about to go out, we blow them up. It's quite a bit of damage, but because we're on legendary difficulty, the AI does not rout from this. But we still have a few more tricks in the pocket. 6 to be exact, so I bring out 1 to stop the Orc boys while I'm capturing the point. If they manage to get on the point, we're totally screwed because they'd outweigh my chieftain. And while they stall, I run some circles around with my chieftain just to make sure he doesn't take too much damage. I even tried to capture the other main capture point, but there's some stealth units there, so backing up, we're just gonna delay for the 1 point as long as humanly possible. And this is actually way sketchier than you might imagine, because the moment the AI even touches that point, we stop capturing the bar in the top middle. And with the Orc boss in the midst of my summoned clan rats, they're sort of breaking pretty fast. So I use my chieftain hero to distract them and a unit of archers to try and reduce the damage on my clan rats so they hold a little bit longer. And the strategy actually works. I stall for just long enough to get another clan rat summon out, and that's just enough time to capture the city. So there you have it, capturing Karak 8 peaks while only recruiting Skaven slaves.